Yo, Little Crab here with my Ephemeral Edge Flicker Strike Trickster. I've been speeding through maps with this. It's super fun to just blast through a map, have a seizure along the way. This clears basic bosses just fine. It's gonna struggle with Ubers because you don't have control over your movement as a Flicker Strike character. But who cares about that? We want to play Flicker Strike. So the keys to this build are an Ephemeral Edge with Resolute Technique corrupted on it. It's expensive. It was like 13 div when I bought it. Oh fuck, man, it's gone down. It's 5 divines. Shit, play this build. Hop on now. Okay, the price has dropped on that. An Ephemeral Edge with Resolute Technique is pretty mandatory because with Resolute Technique we can ignore accuracy. So that frees up so many slots. Where's Resolute Technique? Here it is. Your hits can't be evaded and you never deal critical strikes. We're not doing crit and we just want to clear accuracy off the board so we can go for all the other stats like energy shield stacking. Because Ephemeral Edge gives attacks with this weapon have added maximum lightning damage equal to 20% of your maximum energy shield. We want to get that ES as high as we can. So for gear, besides Ephemeral Edge, we've got an Aegis Aurora. If you're doing ES, you take an Aegis Aurora. When we block, we get ES back. That's it. A Voice of the Storm to increase our lightning damage, and lightning damage with non-crits is lucky. This goes great with Ephemeral Edge because this gives us added maximum lightning damage. This raises the high end, but not the low end. We're never critting from Resolute Technique and Precise Technique, so getting non-crits to be lucky means they roll again and we take the higher damage roll. This is great when you have a huge window, which you do with lightning damage. We're taking Chavron's Revelation in our left ring slot for a huge ES boost. This is giving us like 1500 energy shield. And I'm using a Mage Blood. There's ways to do this build without it, but you're going to be struggling to get your resistances in, and you have to find a way to get more chance to avoid being shocked, which is easy enough. You can get it on boots and helmet, but the big thing is we get to ignore resistances. So for our crafted gear, the main thing is high ES. This helmet looks crazy. It was only 2 div because you can buy people's failed crafting projects. So this one was 2 div for a 370 ES Hubris Circlet. That's huge. The one I made before this, I was going for a chance to avoid being shocked. So this is what you would go for if you aren't using a Mage Blood. You roll the essence of, I don't know what it's called. It gives you a chance to avoid being shocked. Put it on the helmet. You can get 50% on there. And then you get the other 50% from doing the same thing on your boots. It's just a lot harder to hit what you want. But my old helmet, I bought a fractured maximum ES base. And then just threw that on it till I hit something good. This was still 327 energy shield. And this cost me, I don't know, 1 divine to make. So for our chest piece, you want a Sadist Garb because we want super high evasion rating along with energy shield because of the Trickster node Escape Artist, which gives us maximum energy shield per 6 evasion on our body armor. So the more evasion we have on our body armor, the more ES we get out of it as well. So we kind of double dip here. And then you want to get Spell Suppress on there if you can, if you got an open slot. We do like Spell Suppress even though we are 50% chance to spell block. Why not have both? Ring. We're getting intelligence, resistances, because we do need resistances still. They're kind of hard to come by even with a Bismuth Flask. So you're going ES, intelligence, elemental damage with attack skills, and then if you can get one with an actual rolled lightning damage to attacks, perfect. If not, craft it on. Gloves, yes. ES again, that's all that matters. ES and resistances. The other things on here are from failed slams. We don't need mana. We don't need life regen. We don't need accuracy. Ignore those. You can get better gloves than this for sure. On these, you do want to make sure you get non-Val strike skills target one additional enemy from Searing Exarch, and lightning exposure on hit from Eater of Worlds. Our boots, same thing here, movement speed, energy shield, and then I'm getting missing strength on here because we are kind of tight for attributes. The other like notable passives that really make this build work are Iron Reflexes. We're converting all our evasion into armor. This goes great with some of the Trickster's passive ascendancy points. We're also taking Versatile Combatant to get 50% attack block and spell block to go along with our spell suppress. We have got Precise Technique. So because we are Chaos Inoculation, we have 1 life, which gives us free damage boost from Precise Technique because we get 40% more attack damage if our accuracy rating is higher than our life. Our accuracy rating is 752. Still more than 1 though, so we get that boost. The other things are Chaos Inoculation. Already mentioned it. Super important. When you're doing ES, there's no reason not to take it. You just get free Chaos Immunity. And Ghost Reaver. We leech Energy Shield instead of life, and we don't recharge ES besides leeching. It's fine because we're stacking a ton of leech in this build. Then for our gems on our tree, we've got a few in here. We are grabbing a Lethal Pride with double damage. We've got 2 of them. Where are they? Here's one. And here is the other. We've got 2 double damage and chance to intimidate. Intimidate is the more important one. Double damage is just really nice to have. This one was like 2 div for me. You can use the Path of Building Timeless Jewel Finder to figure out which ones fit there. The next one we've got is a Parandus Pact with 3% increased energy shield. So this gives all allocated nodes in this radius 3% increased maximum energy shield on top of what they already give. So this is huge. It's a huge boost. It's given us like 1300 from that jewel. We have also got a large cluster with Feed the Fury and Smite the Weak allocated. The third one is Calamitous. This is one you're going to ignore. So this gives us increased attack damage while leeching and attack speed while leeching. We are always leeching because of Soul Drinker. 2% of damage leeched as energy shield, and energy shield leech effects are not removed when energy shield is filled. So we can over leech. This reaches the top and we are still considered leeching, which gives us all those bonuses. We've also got Smite the Weak, which gives us attack damage against maimed enemies and gives a 10% chance to maim on its own. Maim we don't actually care about, it's reduced movement speed, but it's the damage that it triggers from being active. And then we have a Storm Shroud. This is how we're getting avoidance for all elemental ailments. Like I said before, we're getting ours just from this flask. If you're doing Mage Blood, you need a 52% chance to avoid being shocked, along with a 70% increased effect implicit roll. That'll get you 101% to avoid ailments. And we have a Watcher's Eye with damage penetrates lightning res while affected by wrath. And importantly, we have a split personality with strength and maximum energy shield. This is where we're getting most of our strength because we are tight on attributes. So this allows us to socket most of our gems and gives us a nice ES boost along the way. Speaking of our gems, I will go over what we've got socketed in. Our helmet is a Warlord's Mark on hit support, and a Molten Shell automation support. Our weapon is Frenzy, Leap Slam, and faster attacks. We have Frenzy, so when we get to a boss and we only have our base 1 Frenzy charge, we can actually attack with it to build them up to then reset the cooldown on Flicker Strike. Otherwise, it's annoying to just have to stand there until Flicker Strike. Because it'll trigger its own Frenzy charges. It has a, like, 10% chance to do that. But it's annoying waiting for that to happen. So when you find a pack that steals your charges, you can Frenzy once or twice to get some Frenzy charges and then Flicker Strike away. Our main 6-link setup is Flicker Strike. Without Flicker Strike, you can buy a 2120 for like 30C. Post-combat support, Energy Leech support, Volatility, Multi-Strike, and Elemental damage with attacks. I grabbed Awakened. When you get a level 5 Awakened, you can just ignore reflected elemental damage. It's not necessary, but a nice upgrade when you get there. We've got Berserk, Ancestral Protector, and Val Ancestral Warchief. Grace, Enlighten, Wrath, and Discipline. You don't need a Val Grace. I never use the Val part of it. Grab a Grace. Our boots are giving us Shock from Vengeance, Riposte, and Overcharge support. So Overcharge is shocking them. And then we've got a Rage support in here, which just gives us Rage. Like passive Rage generation. It's not perfect, but when you're blasting through a map, you'll get up to 50 Rage just fine. It's not sustainable on bosses. You'll usually be around 10 or 15 Rage with them. But it's still something. It's free Rage. We've got the sockets for it. So the one flash slot we have open, we're using a Vessel of Vinctar. This shocks nearby enemies during effect, which gives a shock on bosses. It's just a 10% shock. And it also gives us flat added lightning damage to attacks. And last but not least, I should go over all of our Ascendancy points. So we're taking Polymath. It gives us recovery on kill and damage for each different mastery we've got. Swift Killer for max Frenzy charges. Of course, we're Flicker Strike. Get those Frenzy charges in. Escape Artist, I already went over. And Soul Drinker, I already went over. So that's the gist of it. I'm going to run a Alhesman map for you. Might as well have Maven witness it. Yeah, this build is super fun for blasting through maps. You don't really have to do much. You just jump around and let Flicker Strike guide you. Sometimes you fly backwards the other way. That's half the fun. It's extremely tanky from all the block we have from Aegis Aurora. It's pretty difficult to die in a standard map. I can't think of anything that is really a struggle for this build. Like, the only things I've died on were trying to do Uber bosses, and that was not because they hit hard at all. It was they have a lot more mechanics you have to step out of the way of, which we can't do. We have the two negatives for that. One, we're a melee build, so trying to do Uber Cirrus, really fucking annoying. We're a melee build. Please let melee do those fights. But besides that, we're also Flicker Strike. So I can't just stand to the side, in the perfect spot and get my melee attacks in. Strike range doesn't help us because we have to dash through the enemies. So that's the one problem with this build. Everything else is cakewalk. We've got so much tankiness in here that as long as we're being hit by stuff, we're gonna stay alive. Let's get to this boss. And there are complete encounters you can like ignore because we have Chaos Inoculation, but we don't take chaos damage. So this fight basically does no damage to us. Shaper blasts don't hurt. I mean, the Uber ones do, but regular Shaper doesn't really affect us. He has elemental damage mixed in, but we don't really have to worry about that because we block enough to get ES back. So yeah, I'm loving this build. It's super fun. Apparently it's gotten more affordable with the price of Ephemeral Edge going down, but it's Flicker Strike. You love it or you hate it. If you've never done it before, this is one that actually can consistently have its charges. We don't need a badge of the Brotherhood or anything. It's just a great map blaster. Check it out. Like and subscribe for more Path of Exile stuff. It really helps me out. And until next time, peace out.